Dear brothers and sisters, I am Father Dr. Patrick Merceline D'Souza. Today I am going to reflect on St. Mark's Gospel, chapter 12, verses 41 to 44, the widow's offering. In this passage from the Gospel of St. Mark, Mark narrates the incident where a poor widow puts in two very small copper coins worth only a few cents into the temple treasury when many rich people threw in large amounts. Mark narrates, Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts, but a poor widow came and put in two very small copper coins worth only a few cents. Calling his disciples, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on." There is a beautiful and meaningful contrast here. The contrast between the act of generosity done by the rich people and the act of generosity done by the poor widow. Many rich people threw in large amounts, but this poor widow put in two very small copper coins worth only a few cents. The money put in by the poor widow was meager compared to the large amount put in by the rich people. But the difference between the generosity of the rich people and that of the poor widow was that the rich people gave a large amount of money from their huge amount of money which they had. But the poor widow put in almost all the money she had with her. The money she had collected that day and the money which she had saved to have her meal before she goes to sleep. The rich people who put in large amount of money in the temple treasury, but after putting whatever they wanted to put, did not feel any anguish or pain while they made their donations, because they gave away from the large amount which they had saved. It was not so difficult for the rich to give away that amount, but the poor widow gave all that she had, and therefore it was not easy for her to donate all the amount. She surely felt some discomfort and anguish while donating all that had with her that day. After donating such a large amount, the rich people would still have a lot of money left with them. The poor widow, however, would find it extremely difficult to afford some food before she could go to sleep. Most probably, she would be going to sleep hungry that night. But she was ready to suffer hunger that day because though her stomach would remain empty while she slept on that day, her heart will be filled with great happiness. The heavenly bliss that comes from the sacrificial act like the one which she had done that day. Someone has put it beautifully thus: giving takes you out of yourself and allows you to expand beyond earthly limitations. True joy lies in the act of giving without an expectation of receiving something in return. Jesus praises the poor widow who put in all that she had with her that day, all that she needed to have one simple meal before going to sleep. She was prepared to go to sleep starved that day. Jesus calls his disciples to himself and tells them, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more than in the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on. Giving is in the nature of God. When we look at God, we are basically looking at someone who is a giver. We cannot separate God from the reality of God's being a giver. We have come across several instances where basically we have seen God as a giver. Explaining the significance of the act of giving, someone has aptly remarked that the act of giving is rooted in the character of God Himself. He is the ultimate giver, freely bestowing His blessings upon us. When we give, we reflect His nature and channel His provision to those in need. It is an act of love and compassion towards our fellow brothers and sisters, extending the grace and mercy that we have received from God. The characteristics of the act of giving. The following are the characteristics of the act of giving. First, the act of giving is rooted in the character of God Himself. He is the ultimate giver, freely bestowing His blessings upon us. Second, when we give, we reflect God's nature and channel His provision to those in need. And third, the act of giving is an act of love and compassion towards our fellow brothers and sisters, extending the grace and mercy that we have received from God. Generosity is a gift of God. Not everyone has received the gift of generosity from God. That is why we find innumerable people in the world who find it difficult to give. What is the gift of generosity? The spiritual gift of generosity is the ability to recognize God's blessings and respond by generously giving one's resources, that is time, talent, and treasure, without thought of return. It is about being honorable, charitable, and willing to serve and bless others with what we have been given by God. Those with this gift have a unique desire and capacity to contribute their resources, time, and talents by the support of for the support of God's work and to aid those in need. Those who have received the gift of generosity do the following things. First, these generous people are always willing to help the people who are in need. The people with a genuine need who approach them for help in their need are not sent back empty-handed. By doing this, these generous people fulfill the second most important commandment of Jesus, namely, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Mark 12:31. Second, these generous people give without expecting anything in return. They follow the teaching of Jesus, who has told us to do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. Luke 6:35. Third, these generous people do not demand that the people whom they have helped should return what they have given to them. Jesus has advised us to do the same when He told His disciples, give to everyone who asks of you, and whoever takes away what is yours, do not demand it back. Luke 6:30. Fifth, love is sacrifice. Sacrifice is an essential ingredient of love. There is no love without sacrifice. The lovers need to be ready to make any sacrifice for the beloved. Since giving those who are in need is an act of love, giving involves sacrifice. The generous people are willing to give till it hurts. It is easy to give out of our abundances, but it is very difficult to give when we ourselves do not have enough, or when we lack so many basic necessities of life. But real love is to love till hurts. The poor widow gave till it hurt her. She, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on. Why is Jesus inviting us to be generous? Jesus is inviting us to be generous because, first, when we give generously to those who have a genuine need, we share in the nature of God. By inviting us to be generous, Jesus is inviting us to be united with God and to share in His nature. Second, giving is a way of expressing our gratitude towards God. God has done so much for us. Whatever good we have today is due to God's love and blessing upon us. Giving to others who are in genuine need is a way of expressing our gratitude towards God. We need to be grateful to God because God does not like the people who are ungrateful. That's why Jesus was upset when he saw that only one of the 10 lepers whom he had cleaned had returned to thank him. Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except this foreigner?" Luke 17:17 to 18. Third, there is tremendous joy in giving. When we give generously, we are blessed with heavenly joy. If you ask the people who are generous and who help others about their feelings after they have given something to others, they will emphatically say that they receive a lot of joy in giving and helping people. Fifth, when we help the poor and the needy, we store up treasures in heaven for us. No matter how much wealth, poverty, land, buildings, and other material things we earn and store for our future, we really do not know how many years we are going to live to enjoy these things that we have earned and stored. Therefore, it is better to deposit our wealth and property in the heavenly banks by helping and giving to the needy, because what we store up here on earth or whatever we waste for our luxuries and unnecessary amenities and valuable things while we are alive goes waste here and remains here after we die, because after we die we cannot take anything with us from what we have earned here. Jesus has told us very clearly, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal." I would like to end this reflection with a heartwarming story of Brenda Jones, a 69-year-old great-grandmother who had spent a long year on the donor list waiting to receive a liver. And this lady finally was ready to give up her spot to save a 23-year-old girl, Abigail Flores, who also needed a liver whose situation was more urgent than Jones. Without a transplant, doctors feared Flores had maybe one more day only to live. So they asked Jones to give up her spot so that Flores could get the precious organ. Jones agreed. "In my heart, I would not have been able to live with the liver if I had let this little girl die," she told WFAA. Jones was placed back at the top of the donor list and got a new liver days later. Just as the poor widow had put in all the money she had and was willing to go to sleep hungry that night, Brenda Jones had decided to give up her spot of getting a liver for the liver transplant she very badly needed. Who knows, she might have even died without a liver if she had not got the liver in time. But she was ready to wait till she gets another liver, and she was ready to give it to that girl. She said, "In my heart, I would not have been able to live with the liver if I had let this little girl die." My dear brothers and sisters, thank you very much for listening to this reflection and watching this video carefully, lovingly, and patiently. In case you want to make any comment, please contact me on my WhatsApp number 70304479934. Please send this reflection and video to all your contacts so that they also will benefit by it. I have a YouTube channel. The name of my YouTube channel is Father Dr. Patrick D'Souza. Please visit my channel and subscribe to it. And ask your relatives and friends to subscribe to my channel. And I pray for you now. Heavenly Father, bless these people for watching this video, listening to the reflection carefully, lovingly, and patiently. Especially those who are forwarding it to others. I pray that, Lord, you bless them and keep them happy, healthy, and holy. All their dreams, aspirations may be fulfilled according to your wish. This prayer I make with great faith. Amen.